Kyle A. Bedini was a 3-year starter on defense who played on the program's first ever conference playoff championship team as a junior and earned second-team All-America recognition as a senior. The first men's soccer player from the 21st century to earn Alumni Hall of Fame induction, Kyle was a starter in all but one match in which he appeared over his final 3 seasons, helping limit opponents to an average of less than 1 goal per match. As a junior in the fall of 2007, Kyle started all 19 matches in which he appeared, averaging a career-high 87 minutes. Under first-year head coach Greg DeVito that season, Eastern won its first Little East regular season crown in 15 years and its first Little East playoff title ever. As a senior co-captain in 2008 on a team coming off its first NCAA tournament berth, Kyle started 21 games as the Warriors assembled a 14-game unbeaten streak on the way to their winningest season in 39 years. Kyle's stellar 4-year career was rewarded exactly 1 month to the day of his final game in an Eastern uniform upon the announcement of his selection as only the second All-America in the first 49 years of the program.
It is my pleasure to welcome Kyle Bedini to the Eastern Athletics Alumni Hall of Fame. Kyle is someone for whom I have the utmost respect for as a person and friend. Since graduating, he has been a very active alumnus, supporting many of our events, whether it be attending matches, coming to alumni games, participating in golf tournaments, or coming to the end of the year banquets. However, it is his achievements in his 4 years in our soccer program which make him very deserving of this recognition that we are celebrating today. Without a doubt, Kyle left the program in a better place than where he found it, and he was intentional about doing so. That's what makes Kyle who he is, always looking out for others, holding people accountable, including myself, challenging himself and his teammates, as well as myself, to always be better. He was never afraid to speak his mind. Kyle is a person of great integrity. If he says he's going to do something, you know it's going to get done. He came to Eastern at a time when the program was struggling on and off the field. He and many of his teammates in this room today were responsible for restoring success on the field to our historic soccer program. Kyle was part of 4 winning seasons. In his junior year, we won our first Little East regular season championship in 15 years and went on to win our first ever Little East tournament championship and make our first ever NCAA tournament appearance. Who could forget the penalty kick that he took in that match against Keene State? As a senior, he led the team to a program record 15 wins and the top seed in the ECAC New England tournament. Kyle was a massive defender and is even more massive these days as fitness and nutrition are a big part of his life. There were several times over the years when I thought he was going to rip someone apart with his bare hands during a game, but he refrained because he knew how important it was to keep his cool. One of these times that stands out was during an extremely emotional game that was back and forth at Salem State during Kyle's senior year. Someone spit right on him. Literally. At this point, I'm thinking he could legitimately kill this person and get a red card. But luckily he held it together and we were able to earn a hard-fought point on the road. Winning that game would have been very difficult to do if Kyle had gotten a red card and we were having to bail him out of jail for attempted murder. There was also the infamous race against his brother Rob after a training session in his freshman year. Both being ultra-competitive, they agreed to a 75-yard sprint across the field. Now I'm old, so that distance could have been more or less, but I just remember seeing it out of the corner of my eye, and the next thing I remember is some sort of loud scream and Kyle busting up his leg. But as legend would have it to this day, he did win that race. Rob would probably beg to differ. Who could forget the time that 2 stubborn Italians, Kyle and Matt Esposito, were jawing at each other in training? Bedini, the senior captain, and Esposito, the freshman. That is, until the impatient Italian coach, me, had had enough and made the entire team run so that they would stop talking. Those two still love to tell that story to this day.
I've known him for, what's crazy is 27 years. Played on every single sports team, lived with him all 4 years in college, played soccer with him all 4 years of college, and he is way more than a teammate to me. He's family. He's a brother.
I attribute a lot of my success to Kyle. I played forward, he played defense. Every day in practice, we just battled, and we had our matchup, and it kind of turned into this very competitive practice atmosphere. We're both competitive people. Our work rates are both very high. We wanted to get the best of the other person.
He is one of the most competitive people I know, but being competitive is one thing, being able to actually execute and walk the walk is another, and he defines that.
All we did when Kyle got the ball at his feet, I knew, we looked at each other, and that's all it took. He would play this perfect ball over the top, right into the space I was running.
Kyle's strengths as a player were definitely reading the game. He made everything look very easy. There's times where it just looks like he's cruising through a game with absolutely no effort, but it's just because mentally he's quicker than everybody else on the field. He is always in the right position, doing the right thing.
I don't care how quick you are, I don't care what kind of moves you have, you're not getting by him. He was able to identify your weakness immediately, and he would just make sure he's going to find that the entire game.
He was the complete, well-rounded defender. I can think of 4 things. So, first of all, his size. He was so strong. Kyle is one of the strongest players in the field. His speed. He was much faster than he looked. He was very fast and could even match my pace, which made it very frustrating for myself when I was talking about those practice situations. So you have size, you have speed. His soccer IQ, he was one of the most intelligent players on the field. He knew what he needed to do with the ball all times, and that brings me to my last well-rounded piece. He was so technical with the ball. He was so good with the ball at his feet, and he just had that confidence to do all those 4 things at all times.
He's got a magnetic demeanor to himself. People listen to him because what he's doing is always calculated, and it's a really good suggestion most times.
Kyle had to be vocal with these freshmen to kind of get the best out of them, to make them understand, what the culture of our program is and what we've been building over the year.
I wasn't surprised when I got the notification that I became All-American. I actually remember when he told me, and I remember just giving him a hug because, everything he's done for, at that point, it was 21 years. He knew how to pave the path for success.
When Kyle was, got his All-American selection his senior year, nobody in the program was surprised. We knew the ability Kyle had. We knew how meaningful he was to our team and the success the program had, the things that he did behind the scene of the program as well. So it was never in doubt with anybody within our program that Kyle was an All-American.
At this time, it is with great pleasure that I present for induction into the Eastern Athletics Hall of Fame, Kyle A. Bedini.